Welcome to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Mountain. Note to self, don't pick up your cat with a black shirt before you film a video. Next video, cat hair gains with Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. Meow. Train the muscles, not the joints. So I had a lot of requests for this video. People wanted to know, how did I overcome my lower back injury when I herniated a disc when I was around 19 years old? I think it was around the end of when I was 18, early 19, whatever. Bottom line, it was around that time where I deadlifted wrong, I rounded the lower back, and herniated a disc. So it was my fault, 100%. But at the same time, sometimes you may find yourself with an injury like this, and it could be caused from a car accident, it could be from a collision sport, or maybe it got twisted wrong, or basically you had some sort of awkward sort of fall of some sort. You know, lots of things happen in life. Sometimes these injuries are not necessarily your fault, they just happen, right? So how did I get over my lower back injury? Well, one of the first things I did do was reverse hyperextension. Now, somebody just asked me, one of my Patreon supporters, Carl, just asked me, what is the difference between a hyperextension and a reverse hyperextension? Well, the main thing is I find with normal hyperextensions, there's a tendency to round the lower back. Instead of keeping the hips or the lower back arched and then the hips being the hinge point, a lot of times with normal hyperextensions, a lot of times people will round the lower back and extend. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You will be working some of those extensors, and it's not like it's dangerous to the lower back. But really the main thing you want to learn how to do if you want to keep your lower back safe is to fire the hamstrings while you're keeping the lower back flat or slightly arched. That's the big thing. This is something that the reverse hyperextension really helps with, because it forces you to fire that hamstring and at the same time extend the lower back, where, like I said, under a normal hyperextension, a lot of times you'll see guys round their lower back and come up, but they're not even actually pivoting around the hip. So the hip is actually not even getting any sort of range of motion. So what I would do is I would lay on a Swiss ball and I would do the reverse hyperextension on there, and then I would do one leg at a time, because if you do find yourself with an injury like this, you'll find that maybe one side of the lower back is not firing the same as the other side. So this helps facilitate coordination in that area, and it also helps you teach your body how to fire the muscles that protect the spine again, and at the same time fire the hamstring. So I would just do this. I would just do this to pump blood in the area to help heal. Now, of course, I wasn't in the acute stage. When you're in the acute stage of an injury, you can't even get off the bed, or can't even get up, let alone do any exercises. So you do have to wait this out for a little bit and make sure that you have healed enough so that you can actually even move. But once you can start moving, this is a great way to start moving yourself into firing that lower back again. And another way that you can do this is just laying on your stomach on the floor and lifting one leg at a time. And you could just lift one leg and do as many reps as you can. Just a little bit, just a few inches off the floor. Just extend that foot or lift that foot while you fire the hamstring and the bum and the lower back at the same time. And you don't have to come up too far. Just a couple of inches is good enough. And this will help pump blood into that area and teach you how to fire it again. And then of course you do the other side. Now you can alternate back and forth, or you can do one side to failure, or get a really deep burn, get some good fatigue, and then move to the other side. The more advanced way to do this is to work on a reverse hyper machine, where there are machines out there called the reverse hyperextension, and you can add weight to them and everything, and they're pretty safe on the lower back, even though they do force you to round the lower back and then extend the lower back while you are firing the hamstrings. Now, this machine isn't available to everybody, and it was not available to me at that time, but that is also a great way to rehabilitate that area, so that way it starts to facilitate the coordination needed in order to protect the lower back. All right, everybody, let's do the wave. Now, another thing that I did in order to help with my lower back issue was I got a lot of massage therapy, because massage therapy is a great tool in order to make sure that the muscles are functioning properly. And if you have one muscle knot in your upper back or a muscle knot in your neck, sometimes that can refer pain or dysfunction down to the lower back, hips, and beyond. So you want to make sure that all the muscles are tuned properly and working in some sort of uniform state, so that way they can properly perform their job. Now, if you have a muscle knot and it's forcing you to twist or move funny, that's obviously going to put more wear and tear on the lower back and make it harder for it to heal if it's constantly being irritated by this dysfunction. Now, an overlooked aspect of the lower back injury, because people focus on the disc so much, and they don't necessarily focus on the tissues that support the spine in the first place, because once the disc goes, it causes all sorts of irritation and everything. And there are some treatments that naturopaths offer to deal with some disc injuries, but I won't get into that specifically as much as I will in what you can do and some of the stuff that I have experience in. Now, another treatment that you can do for lower back in order to increase the stability in the area is prolotherapy. Because so many times when you actually tweak the lower back, you actually stretch the ligaments. And the ligaments are those little ropes in between the vertebrae. And if they get loose, then everything becomes more unstable and more prone to injury and more prone to disc irritation. So you want to start to stabilize the spine again. So prolotherapy, what they do is they take glucose, a totally natural substance, and they inject it into the ligament to create inflammation. And that inflammation increases blood flow and healing, and then the ligaments become stronger and tightened up again. So talk to your naturopath, or maybe there's a doctor or specialist in your area. This is something that you can do in order to help stabilize that area once again, once it has been stretched out or tweaked or partially torn. Now, the next thing I did in order to rehabilitate my lower back, because I didn't do prolotherapy back in the day, that wasn't really available to me, I didn't really know about it, but the next thing I did just through exercises was the Romanian deadlift, because I found the Romanian deadlift, if done light, and once my back was healed enough for me to do it, okay? So bear that in mind. But once my back was healed enough that I could do the Romanian deadlift, it was a great exercise to teach me to keep the back flat or slightly arched while I was stretching the hamstrings. Because so often when people force themselves into a certain range of motion, they don't really pay attention to the positioning of their hips or how rounded their back is or anything. They're just focusing on how far the bar is traveling down and then how far the bar is traveling up. But they don't actually focus on their hips. So with the Romanian deadlift, it's just about the motion around the hip. You bend over, but you make sure the back is flat and you keep the legs slightly bent, and therefore you feel the stretch in your hamstrings, but you're not rounding the lower back. The key is to stick that ass out and focus on bending over, and then almost feel like you're pushing the floor backwards with your heels. If you focus on pushing the floor backwards with your heels while keeping the back flat, this will help train your body to fire the hamstrings while keeping proper lower back form. And so often people do tweak their lower backs because they have not found a way to stretch the hamstring without rounding the lower back. So this is a great way to teach you how to do it. Now, another exercise you can do to help strengthen the lower back and to reestablish strength in all the supporting muscles and structures of the lower back is to work the lateral muscles, which means doing unilateral training. Now, I discovered this by accident when I started doing a construction job and I had to lift a lot of weight on one side. So when I was doing concrete work, I had to lift these Dura panels or Duraforms on one side and walk up and down a hill, and then I would alternate back and forth. Automatically, I noticed that my strength started to go up in the gym when it came down to lower back exercises because the side muscles were getting stronger because I was using them. And so often, you don't really use these side muscles that much in the gym. So one way you can accomplish this is by doing one-arm dumbbell presses. You don't have to go super heavy. You can go lighter, but at the same time, you will notice that the sides of your back start to fire. See? Like that, but with a dumbbell. Don't drop it on your head. Okay, try it. Go on. When those muscles start to get stronger, like the QLs and other supporting structures in the muscles, they will start to also assist you with keeping your lower back flat or slightly arched during lifts such as squats and deadlifts and bent over rows. So that extra strength actually helps stabilize the spine. So don't forget to work on those supporting structure muscles. And you'll notice just by lifting the weight and having the weight on one side, there's this pressure, right? Not only are you getting a little bit of shoulder work, but you're getting some of that lower back work. So you can include this in your shoulder lifts. Once you've done the heavy compound movements, such as standing shoulder press, you could just do some light sets of one-arm dumbbell presses after, and that will help you work those supporting structure muscles. So I hope some of this experience helps you in your situation if you have a lower back issue or a lower back tweak or something like that. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I got over my lower back injury. Wow, that sounded bad. Something exploded. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to... Get out of here, eh? Hit, move it, motorbikes. Who's this? So I've had a lot of people ask me about how I got over my lower back injury back in the day. You know, I herniated a disc in my lower back, tweaked the ligaments and all that kind of thing. So, holy, what the? It's backfiring. The motorcycle's backfiring. I'm gonna have to retake the shot. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Mountain.